Today, I'm tackling another big upgrade on our Hatteras motor yacht, installing a brand new inverter system from Bluetti. I'll be running a full test to see if it can power our boat completely off-grid. From pulling heavy cables through the engine room to wiring it to the main panel, I'll show you exactly how it all comes together and whether it actually works the way I hoped. I hate putting holes in my boat, but I gotta do it.
In your eyes and I find it. When you leave in my mind I rewind it. When you got it this good, you don't fight it.
Okay, well the first thing I have to do is run power down to where I am installing the inverter. And I just picked up some marine grade wire. I'm running 8-gauge wire. The manual unfortunately doesn't really tell you what gauge you're supposed to use. I know it can't be anything more than 8-gauge because it's at best a 40 amp system, so I'm going to default to the 8-gauge. And but anyway, Bluetti, you should probably add that into the manual. And I'm going to tap in. This is where all my main power comes in. I'm going to tap into the main bus bar up here. And then I'm going to run a wire down. It's going to have to go through the engine room. Then it's going to have to cut over to the generator room. Then it's going to come up to the floor into a closet in what we call the rum locker, which is a guest stateroom towards the bow of the boat, kind of center of the boat. I'll show you in a second. Okay, well I have the power line run now. And what I did is I installed a little breaker box here to use as a cutoff switch. This is just so that if for some reason I ever needed to, turn the system off real quickly, I wouldn't need to go running up to the lower helm to find the breaker. So I just thought this was a nice little cautionary thing to do. Now over here you can see I have a template up on the wall. Bluetti gives you the templates for all the different components. So that you can pre-drill and put your screws in before hanging it. And this one here is for the RV5, the Power Hub. So I'm going to put a couple of screws in the wall and I'm going to hang that. Well, I have the major components there mounted up on the wall. And I didn't put the battery in yet. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wiring up the system first. That way I have a little bit more room in this closet, which, by the way, is where I have put the system. It's a closet in one of our staterooms, and it's a little bit of a small area, but this room is air conditioned, so I'm not really worried about it overheating or anything like that. Okay, so I guess I'll start taking off the access panels and begin wiring. By the way, you need to make sure you have some space, about 8 inches at least, above and below the unit, just for air to flow. That's the way that the fans work on it. And you can see that I offset the ePanel. The reason I did that was because there are only, cutouts for wires on the sides of the ePanel, not on the top and bottom. And by offsetting it, I can run the wires from the Power Hub over and go through on the side. There's nothing on the bottom, and I really do want to come in from the bottom for my DC lines. Not sure why they didn't put access in the top and bottom. I don't think it would have been too hard to do, but it's not a big deal. I have a hole cutter, so I'll just cut my own hole. We're just going to try and get it on the edge.
You're living on the edge.
That's what we do.
That's right.
It's in.
Sure is.
Yeah, I get it down the steps myself. I just didn't want to make that leap there.
Yeah, because you didn't want it going in the water,
So,
which is good. Yay.
okay, so I know what I'm doing for the rest of the day, or, well, part of it.
Yep. Have fun.
I need to put the E-pad in this room temporarily. I think I'm eventually going to move it up to the fly bridge, but I don't have long enough Ethernet cable right now anyway, so I'm putting it here, and it'll help me set things up a little bit easier while it's down here anyway. I hate putting holes in my boat, but I gotta do it.
Yep.
Make some sort of a cover for this. This is the easiest way to get down. In fact, one about the only ways it wasn't a major ordeal. And I'm gonna probably make something out of wood here. I have extra wood like this, put a channel in it, lay the wood over, it'll look like another piece of trim.
And secure that top piece too.
Yep.
Okay, good job.
Okay.
It's a piece of cake.
Yep.
Right, Eddie?
Piece of cake.
Are you blue?
Sweating.
You didn't get my joke. Are you blue, Eddie? Ba-dum-bum.
I really don't want to drill any more holes in the boat than I have to, so I'm using 3M VHB mounting tape to secure the solar panels. I used the same tape 5 years ago when I installed the panels on the flybridge roof, and it's been rock solid ever since. 3 hurricanes later, they haven't moved a millimeter. Okay, well, the installation of the new inverter system is complete, and let me just take you down and I'll kind of show you what we have here. Now, in a previous video, I did explain how to wire this system. However, let me just go over it quickly with you right now. If you look over here at this thicker white wire, that is coming from the main bus bar on the boat, and it is 120 volts. It's going to a breaker box here, which then it runs over and goes into the RV5 Power Hub. And that is how the RV5 gets its power to charge the batteries, which it does through, you can see these cables come out here, the positive cable, there's an on-off switch here. And that's how the RV5 charges the battery. Now, the RV5 can also get power from 2 other sources. Over here, we've got these red and black wires coming out, going to a switch, and then going to the RV5. They come from the alternator of the boat, so that when I'm running the boat, I can use the alternator to help power up the power hub there, and in turn charge the battery. And then we have some cables coming from up top there. They are going to the solar panels that I installed on the sun deck. And I have a little breaker there temporarily hooked up. I have a better one at home. I left it at home, but that's just temporary. And then from there, that goes into the RV5 as well. So the RV5 has 3 different ways that it can get power to charge up the batteries. In inverter mode, of course, the battery is sending power up to the RV5, which is turning it into 120 volts. And it sends it out through these 3 cables here that wrap around, and they go to this distribution panel. And then the RV5 can also send out DC power, and that's these 2 cables here, and they're also going to the distribution panel. And then the distribution panel will send out the power as required. There's a whole bunch of different breakers on it. I am only using 1 breaker right now for the 120 volts. And that's because I want to power up the main panels up on the lower helm. And I'm going to show you that in a second, but let me finish explaining this. So this heavy duty cable right here, 8 gauge wire, is running up to the lower helm panel boxes. And then I have these 2 cables here, or I'm sorry, this little white cable here. These things aren't sticking very well. I think I'm going to have to screw them in. the white cable there, that is actually going to one of our bilge pumps. Now, when you take the power out of the RV5 and send it here, you can either tell it to send 12 volts or 24 volts. I'm having it send 24 volts because, first of all, our new heads, our Raritan Elegance, those heads are 24 volt. Our underwater lights are 24 volts, and I'm slowly replacing all our bilge pumps with 24 volts as well. And that's because the existing 32 volt pumps are very difficult to find and they're very expensive. So you can see I've got one switched over already, and that's coming out of here. I got a little fuse up there. And then, of course, everything is connected through communication cables to the this panel here, that ePanel, I think they call it, and so that you can see everything that's going on. Right now, you can see the battery's at 100%, and I'm not using any electric because the inverter is not being used right now. And but I'm going to show you exactly. I'm going to use it, and I'm going to run a little test here, and then I'm going to take you up top, and I'll show you how I actually have this wired into the boat. We're going to go over to the main panels on our boat. Well, let me explain how this big panel works here. If you look at the top section here, you have three different sections. Each one represents a different source of power that we can use on our boat. This one is the generator, which is kind of obvious. You know, you turn the generator on, I can use that for a source of power. I also have Shoreline 1 and Shoreline 2, and they can be used either individually, together, or even with the generator. You can use all three for power, or you can just select one. If you look right now, you'll see a red light up here. That's because I'm getting my power on Shoreline 1, and I have it turned to number 1, which says port 240. That happens to be our cable off the bow of the boat, which is the one that we use all the time. Either that one or the starboard, but we always use the bow. We have the ability to connect on both sides of the boat as well. We just never do. There's not a need. We can go off the bow, and if for some reason the pedestal is way off the stern of our boat, we have an extension cable and we'll still run off the bow. Now, right now I'm using Shoreline 1. I could be using Shoreline 2. This just happens to be what Lynn decided to hook up when we pulled in here. Now, if you look carefully, you have 4 different selections here and 2 selections here for where each shoreline is getting its power. That's because we have one on the bow, and we have connectors on the sides of the boat, which we're not using. Same thing over here. This one here is the starboard off the bow, and this one here is for one of the boxes on the starboard side where we can get power in. Now, we never use these 3, or do we use this one here? Now, we could in an emergency. If something went wrong with the cable off the bow, we could connect there, but it has never happened. Now, if you look down here, you see we have a selector that we can tell it, you know, where's the light lit, where's the power coming from. We turn the dial to correspond to the light. Now, if you look below, these here are the main breakers for the 120 volt, 240 volt systems on our boat. And we can tell each of these breakers, which correspond to panel boxes. Here, I'll show you over here. Here's 1 and 3. These are the distribution panels. And that's what each of these breakers controls. And I can tell each of the panels where to get its power from. Now, right now, you can see that we're getting our power from Shoreline 1. So that's why these are turned to Shoreline 1. And had I decided to use the generator, we would turn these to the generator. And that's how the system basically works. Now, let's go back up top for a second. And I mentioned that we never use these or this. And neither did a previous owner, because what they did is they hooked up their inverter system to where port 120 came in. In other words, disconnected the lines, hooked in the new lines from the inverter. And if you look at the selector dial, there's no longer a number 2, it says inverter. Now, I thought that was a great idea, so what I did is I hooked up our new Bluetti inverter over to Shoreline 2. I'm going to put a little sticker up there eventually. And that means if we turn this to 2, I will be on the Bluetti inverter. Now, in short, that means that I could run both inverters at the same time if I wanted to. And I could just tell each one where I wanted it to get its power from. So if I say I want to run my air conditioners, which happen to be this breaker here, off the new Bluetti, I just turn this to 2, and it'll pick it up on Shoreline 2. And since I can run both at the same time. That gives me the 3,000 watts from the old Victron system and the 5,000 watts from the new Bluetti system. I can run 8,000 watts at one time off the inverters on this boat, which means I can run practically everything. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to run everything. I'm going to do some tests to see how long I can run an air conditioner, or how long. I already know from previous videos that if I'm just running the Victron and I'm just using the 120 systems, I can run about 16 to 18 hours off of that. But I'm going to do another test now, and I'm going to test out running the Bluetti, and I'm going to send it some 240 volt systems and just see how long, for the heck of it, I can run an air conditioner. I don't expect it's going to be a real long time because I only have the one 48 volt battery hooked up now. I think I'm going to add another one or two to the system, but it'd be interesting to see how long it'll run. And I just want to make sure everything's working the way I thought it would and that I got it planned out right. So let's get going. Okay, so let me throw this breaker right here. And now I am going to turn this dial to inverter. That means that Shoreline 1 is now being run off the Victron inverter. And let's see here, I am going to turn all the 120 systems, I'm going to turn it over to the inverter, which would be Shore Power 1, which actually I'm on already. This is mislabeled. Okay, then I am going to, this is already turned to the Bluetti. Let me throw the breaker there. I'm going to turn the Bluetti on in a second. I don't have it set to inverter mode right now, but I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to turn this on, and that means all of my 120 systems on the boat are now being run off the Victron. And then I'm going to go turn on the Bluetti. I'm going to flip this breaker, and I'm going to set these here to 2. And then I'm going to turn them on, and I'm going to have the 220 systems running under the Bluetti, and then we'll do a little test and see how well that works. Well, I happen to have this off, but I'm going to turn it on to AC. And now it's going to be sending, the inverter's going to be sending power over to the panel, and I can hear it click there. I think there's a couple of relays or something like that in there. And it is currently not sending out any power because I don't have the breaker up there. Let me make sure I have the breaker on here. I do not. Oh, this may not be the greatest test. I forgot I did not put a 40 amp breaker in. Okay, well, I'm going to have to run out and get a 40 amp breaker, but I think I'm still going to run a test now anyway. Maybe I'll just run one of the air conditioners and the air conditioner pump and see how long I can run that. Look at the panel here. I can see that I am running just short of 1,400 watts, so that would be one 16,000 BTU air conditioner, no, 24,000 BTU air conditioner, and the pump. Okay, and you can see here, it says that I'm going to have 6 hours and 42 minutes of air conditioning my salon. And I'll see how long that lasts. I'm going to go look at a clock right now. Oh, there's a clock right there. It's 11:41, so I guess we'll see where this ends. And this is just running off the one battery, which is this 48 volt or 51.2 volt 100 amp battery. So I can see that if I'm getting 6 hours, almost 7 hours out of it, that'll be pretty good, because it means that if I add a second one, I will be able to air condition this boat for half the day just off the battery power alone. And that's not considering the fact that I could be running the boat, charging up with the alternator at the same time, using the solar panel. Right now it's a very cloudy day. You can see I'm only getting 44 watts in. That's right there. That's from the solar panels because it's cloudy out. So, okay, we'll see. I'll check back in about 6 hours and see how we're doing. Just checked with my app, and according to the app on the old system, we're going to get about 16 hours of runtime with the 120 things that are running now, which are the refrigerator, the ice makers, things like that. And that's typical. That's what I found so far. And right now, we are completely off grid. I'm here in the marina, but we're completely off grid. And according to this, I am able to run for about 6-7 hours. I can run everything that I need on this boat. I'm running the main salon's air conditioner, which is 24,000 BTU. I'm running all the appliances that I need to run. I'm sure Lynn will be making coffee or something soon, but that's where we're at right now with the system, and that's with 5 kilowatts roughly for the Bluetti, and I think it's roughly 12 kilowatts for the old system. And well, that's pretty good. It just means to me that I can run everything I need to run. All I need to do is add a little bit more battery power so I can last a little bit longer. But well, we'll see. I'm still running this test. It's only been about a half hour, so I'm going to check back in about 5-6 hours and see if everything's still running the way it's supposed to be. By the way, in addition to the ePanel, which I have set up next to the inverter system, there is an app as well. It's either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And so I can monitor what's going on from wherever I am. You can see right now we're at 93%. We're eating up about 1.3 kilowatts. I get a tiny bit of power from the solar panels, and it's a very overcast day, so I'm not going to really take that into consideration to figure out how long this will all last. Right now it's saying 6 hours and 24 minutes. But well, this is cool. So I can. I love the new ePanel, but this is going to be really nice, especially if I'm trying to monitor from my home in Philadelphia. I just realized something really cool. If I use my old inverter system to charge the Bluetti while the Bluetti's inverting for the air conditioning system, it will increase the Bluetti will just keep running continuously, because the old inverter will send enough power to charge the Bluetti as more than it takes to run the air conditioner. So that's kind of neat, which means now it'll shorten the amount of time that my old system can run. It'll drop from like 16-17 hours down to about maybe 6 hours, because now it's also powering the other inverter. But basically that means I could be running my AC system just on the system I have right now with the 148 volt battery. I could be running it for 12-13 hours straight, just off inverter power, not including any alternator or solar power. So that's pretty cool. Just something I just realized I could do. Not that I think I would do it, but wow, that's pretty neat. I guess I can run it the other way too, so that if I wanted to say I didn't want to use my air conditioner, but I wanted to run all my 110 systems around the clock, I could use the Bluetti to power the Victron. So anyway, kind of cool stuff. Okay, well, that experiment's over. I got about 5 hours worth of runtime on the air conditioner and the air conditioner pump, and again, that's a 24,000 BTU air conditioner, and that's not bad. I was kind of hoping I might get more like 6, but five's not bad. And that does not include me using the other inverter to power the inverter at the same time that I'm using it. Anyway, that's an experiment maybe for tomorrow, because right now what I'm doing is I'm recharging the battery, and that's probably why you hear that little humming sound in the background there. There's 3 modes of charging with this RV5. There is standard, which is about 1,400 watts of charge power. There's silent, which is a little bit less, and then there's turbo, which is up to 5,000 watts of charge power. I have it set to 5,000 watts because I want to see how quickly I can recharge this battery. And well, you look at the screen right here. It looks like it's saying 1 hour and 6 minutes, so maybe when I started it was 1 hour and 15 minutes. I guess we'll see how long that actually takes. And as you can see, I am getting a little bit of solar because it's a cloudy day, so that's not really affecting much. Anyway, that's really fast. I mean, maybe an hour and 15 minutes to charge up and give me 5 hours worth of runtime. That's pretty good. So anyway, I'll get back to you as soon as I know how quickly it charged. By the way, the battery test is done now, and it took 1 hour and 15 minutes, and that's to charge up this 48 volt, basically a 5.1 kilowatt battery from next to nothing all the way up to 100%. That's very impressive. That's twice the speed of my current inverter, or my old inverter, I should say. Anyway, I'm going to charge, that battery's already charged up. I'm going to charge up all the other batteries I have on the boat, so I'm going to see how far I can actually get with the batteries that I currently have. Okay, well, it's the following morning, and I'm going to run another experiment. I'm going to run the whole boat off just the Bluetti inverter. I will use my other inverter just to send power to the Bluetti so it can charge while it's inverting. This will enable the system to use all the batteries that I have on the boat, and I want to see how long that'll last. Inverter. As you can see, let's see, it's 11:18. I'm starting this test. The AC input is 1236 watts, and the AC output, well, just jumped up to 1750, 1889. Okay, that means the compressor from the air conditioner just kicked in. When not, it'll drop down to about 1300. And I noticed the AC input also went up a bit too. Now, I have to check whether I have this set for turbo or not. I think I do, but I think it has the ability to know whether it can accept that much power depending on what's coming in. And it definitely won't accept turbo, because turbo is like 4,800 watts, and the Victron inverter is only a 3,000 watt inverter. So apparently it's limiting itself, which is fine. You can also see that it says under remaining time 99 hours and 59 minutes. That's because the Bluetti does not know where it's getting its power from. It doesn't know it's coming from batteries at my other inverter. So it'll keep being fooled until the other inverter runs out of battery power and it needs to start using its own battery power. I mentioned earlier that one of the main reasons I wanted to upgrade to the Bluetti system was for the increased power output. Our old inverter was limited to 3,000 watts, while the Bluetti delivers a solid 5,000 plus the 1,000 of DC power. Right now, you can see we're only drawing about 1,800 watts. That's probably because although the refrigerators are on, they haven't been opened in a while, so the compressors aren't running. But I know for sure that once Lynn fires up that coffee maker, we'll blow right past that old inverter's 3,000 watt limit. Well, that test went even better than I expected. We powered the entire boat off the Bluetti inverter. That means a 24,000 BTU air conditioner, the air conditioning pump, 3 refrigerators, a freezer, an ice maker, Lynn making coffee, lights, radios, the whole thing. And it lasted for about 13 hours. And I'm very happy with that. I'm especially happy that the Bluetti inverter has enough power to do all that. I could never have run all those things at the same time on my old inverter. Now, I realize these tests are kind of unique to my own boat, and everybody's setup's going to be a little bit different, but I thought you might be interested in the results. So what's my verdict on the Bluetti inverter system? I love it. It's powerful enough to run everything that I need to run. It is very easy to set up, and I really like the ePanel and the app. Honestly, if this system had been available 5 years ago when I did the original inverter install, I would have gone with the Bluetti system without hesitation. Let us know what you think. Do you have an inverter system on your boat, or do you plan to install one in the near future? Let us know in the comments. And until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and cheers.